Hi everyone. I hope that you can see me now and that our technical hitches have stopped. Welcome to Diane's Quarantine Snacks episode 2. So now we know that, let's just choose our snack, shall we? Who's in favour of this one? Or maybe this one? No, we all know now it's exercise snacking. So we might have a few new people join us today, so I'm just going to run through those basics. But it's always a good idea to bring yourself back to those basics because we do get sloppy. So good posture starts with the feet with the tripod foot position. And thanks, Kim, for the socks. So you aim at distributing the weight through the base of the big toe, the outer border of the foot, and the centre of the heel. The purpose being to create that arch where the arch should be, and your feet should be hip distance apart. So stopping that rolling in that we sometimes tend to do. So be aware of that tripod foot position whenever your feet are on the floor. So next important thing, the B line. So you take a line from hip bone to hip bone into the centre. That line should be about 5 centimetres below the belly button. That's where you should be pulling the abdominals in from, so that you're flattening out through those lower abdominals. With that B line, also engaging through the pelvic floor. The B-line core, we take the area between the ribs and the hips and a band around the body, put an imaginary apple in the space, take the core out of that apple, squeeze in from all directions until there's no longer a hollow in your apple. So that's squeezing the core. So it's your own core, such a nice stable position, especially used when you are balancing. Next important thing, you're breathing because you're holding those abdominals in. We're not wanting up and down movement of those abdominals. We're wanting sideways movement of the rib cage to get the breath to the base of the lungs. So the breaths go more underneath the armpits and into the upper back. So as you breathe in, expanding sideways. As you breathe out, closing through that rib cage and drawing those abdominals in. Now with your breathing pattern, in through the nose for a 5-second count, and sighing out through a relaxed mouth for a 5-second count. We sometimes vary that breathing. That last breath out is going to give you that stronger abdominal contraction. With your shoulders, the tips of the shoulder blades in a V towards the tailbone, so you're nice and open through the chest. That's called shoulder blades in pocket. We'll start with the flexibility test, standing spine roll. We'll do it at the beginning and again at the end. So check your flexibility. So deep breath in, grow taller. Breathing out, chin to chest, peel your spine off that imaginary wall. Notice how far down you're reaching. B-line, use those abdominals to support your spine and uncurl all the way to the upright. And again, breathe in, grow taller. Breathing out, chin to chest, peel your spine off that imaginary wall. So notice how far down you're reaching. B-line, use those abdominals and uncurl to the upright. We'll bring it down to the floor for stretching. Now we'll give sore back and beginner variations and easier variations of exercises. So just check on those. And especially if you do have a sore back, you may want to have a towel. That is helpful also for a sore neck. Okay, so first on the menu is stretching. Let's bring it down and do a hip flexor stretch. So a big lunge forwards with your right foot, pushing your hip towards the floor. Danny, would you bring that monitor a little closer? Thank you. So shoulder blades are in pocket if you do want that firmer stretch. And just angle it down slightly. Thank you. You can lift your back knee up off the floor. So you should feel that stretch at the front of your hip. Whenever you're stretching, compare left and right side. And if you're particularly tight on one side, then go back and do that one more time. Nice deep breaths, so getting the breath to the base of the lungs, deep, slow breaths. And changing sides. So a big lunge forwards. Tuck under with the tailbone. If you lifted the knee up on the other side, same thing on this side. Sink your hip down low, tuck under with the tailbone. And lean slightly to that right-hand side. Make sure that stretch is coming through into the front of that hip. and easing out of that. Now, careful if you have got sore knees, you may want to avoid this or just work within your limits. You can always pop the towel in at the back of the knees if you need it. Otherwise, if you don't have sore knees, sitting upright, so that is a straight back, that is not a straight back, be aware of where your pelvis is. And if that's easy for you, leaning back within your limits of discomfort, you're wanting to get the stretch into your thighs. So push your knees to the floor and tuck under with the tailbone. Still keep up those nice, deep, relaxed breaths. Now when you come up, make sure that you come up symmetrically. Yes, Donna, I'm watching you. Hand in the center and right up. Okay, and over onto our side for a thigh stretch. Now the important thing with that thigh stretch, you're wanting to get a really firm thigh stretch. So 9 out of 10 of stretch into those thighs. Those tight thigh muscles pull the pelvis into the wrong position and are indicated in a sore lower back. So you really want to tuck under, lock the pelvis into position, pull that leg back and behind. So your bottom leg is way forwards, heel to the buttock, tucking with the pelvis and pulling that leg back and behind your torso. So be mindful of your neck, looking forwards, head is resting on that neck, head is resting on the arm, and keep pulling that knee back and behind, but make sure that you're tucking with your pelvis. So isolate that stretch into your thigh. So this stretch should border onto pain, but only into the thigh, nowhere else. And over onto the other side. So that bottom leg way forwards, heel to the buttock, tucking with the pelvis, and stabilize that pelvis and pull back and behind. Your knee should be at the level of your hip. Breathe through your stretch. Keep tucking with the pelvis and pull that knee back, that extra centimeter behind you. Easing out of that, we'll lie on our backs for a hamstring stretch. You should feel the stretch behind your thigh. And guess who's not ready? Let's get that band. You can use a band when you don't have to use one. I'll show you without the band first. So raising your right leg up, either interlink your fingers behind your thigh or for that firmer stretch behind your calf. And if you'd like a firmer stretch, then stretch that bottom leg out straight. Make sure that your foot is nice and straight, pressing up with the heel, down with the hip, bend the elbows, pull your knee towards your shoulder. So you can pop that towel in underneath your neck if your neck is getting sore. So you should get that stretch into the hamstring and your calf. You can flex and point the foot to stimulate through the sciatic nerve. Ready, pull those toes back. And changing sides. Now you can use your band wide around the forefoot. Make sure that your foot is nice and flat. So it's as if you're wanting to balance a book on top of the foot. So pressing up with the heel, down with the hip, bend the elbows, knee in line with your shoulder, and pull that forefoot down. Make sure that you're still pressing your hips into the floor. Chin tucked in, neck nice and long, and shoulder blades are pressed into the floor. You're hunching and rounding. And easing out of that, and we'll do a buttock stretch. So left foot on the right knee, hold behind your right thigh or that firmer stretch in front of your right knee. Hug the thigh in towards your chest. Now try dropping that right knee slightly to the right-hand side. If that does give you a more intense stretch, then holding that position. And relax your tailbone back towards the floor. Always consciously relax the stretch muscle. So breathe through your stretch. So remember the purpose of stretching is to lengthen those muscles. So relax them. And over onto the other side. Holding behind your left thigh or in front of that left knee, hugging the thigh to the chest And once again, try dropping that left knee to the left-hand side. And then relax the tailbone back down. So just working to find that more intense stretch, but you shouldn't feel it into your lower back. That's why I stabilize by pressing the tailbone back towards the floor. And then easing out of that. And we haven't stretched our calves yet, so we'll go into downward dog to stretch out through the calves. If you do have sore shoulders or some reason why you're not wanting to do that, you can go against the wall and do your calf stretch on the wall. Front foot close to the wall, make sure that your back foot is straight, elbows resting at shoulder level, and press that back heel flat. Otherwise, downward dog, wrist is in underneath your shoulders, knees are in underneath the hips, tuck your feet, and pushing back. Now slowly alternate with the legs to press one heel down towards the floor at a time. Keep the weight more on the little toe side of your foot, and your feet should be nice and straight. Push away with your hands, tuck your chin in, and look towards your knees. Try and press those heels onto the floor. Now pushing down with both. Try to straighten your knees as much as possible. Push away with your hands and press the tailbone towards the back wall. Nice deep breaths, flattening through the spine. And easing out of that. Now we'll do an Achilles stretch as well. So for those of you that have sore feet and get plantar fasciitis or Achilles tendonitis, it is important to stretch out through those Achilles tendons as well. So now, make sure that your toe is in line with your knee. Use your chest to press down on your thigh and press your heel towards the floor. So don't rock back like that. Make sure you've got the weight on and you're trying to get that heel down. You'll feel it more closer to the Achilles tendon. And then changing sides, so make sure that foot is not way forwards. It should be in line with your knee, and use your chest to press down and press your heel towards the floor. So neck in line with the rest of the spine, none of this. Press that heel down. And easing out of that. And we'll lie on our backs and start with perfect abdominal curl. So just be mindful if you have a sore neck, you may want to cross hands to opposite shoulders. Otherwise, fingers are interlinked and elbows are wide. You want to work from your center, squeezing ribs to hips, not pulling from your neck or shoulders. Now, be aware of when you have your natural curve and when your natural curve is flattened or imprinted. For this one, we have our natural curve. So knees are together, feet are flexed and apart. Either interlink those fingers or hands on opposite shoulders. Squeeze ribs to hips. Now concentrate on those nice, deep, slow breaths and working from your center. So don't feel it in your neck, feel it in those abdominals. Make sure that you are beelining, so pulling those abdominals in, keeping them flattened. Always pull in, never brace by pushing out. Squeeze ribs to hips. One more. Relax at that. Just check that you still have that natural curve. You've not gone into an imprint. And otherwise, fingers are interlinked. Make sure those elbows are not coming in. Keep them out wide. Squeezing ribs to hips. Nice deep breaths. I could say I want you to hear you breathing, but I think I'm wasting my time. But you know what I mean. Squeeze ribs to hips. Deep breaths. Breathing out to curl up, breathing in that small release back. One more, and relax it back. We'll do it with rotations. Now contract forwards, armpit towards the opposite knee, so look across towards your husband. Yeah, I know he's next to you. And towards the center, and across to the other side. Nice deep breaths. Now keep your knees glued together, and so rotate from your rib cage. 3 things as you rotate. Squeeze the knees, squeeze the core, as well as engaging through the pelvic floor. Breathe out to rotate, deep breath in to the center. And one more to each side. And relax it back. And the moment we'll be waiting for, your hover. I think I can hear the crowds cheering. Oh no, it's the construction site across the road. They're busy making a noise there. All in my imagination. All right, but anyway, we'll do a revolving hover today. But you do have the option, if you do have a sore shoulder and don't want to go on the side, you can still do your front hover. So I'll just show you those positions. So your easier position for the front hover is on the knees. So especially if you have a sore back, you may want to just stay on those knees or sore shoulders. So your hips should be at shoulder height. And it's all in the correct position with the pelvis. You don't want to go into a sway. You should be drawing in and tucking under and flattening through those abdominals. So if you're on your toes, you are there. Your side hover, elbow in underneath the shoulder. Bend those calves back behind you. Nice straight line with the body. And otherwise, you can have the top foot forward or feet vertically stacked, lifting up. 30 seconds on the side, a minute on the front, 30 seconds on the other side. Right, let's get it happening. Elbow underneath your shoulder. Lift it up and hold it there and reach your top arm up. So shoulders vertically stacked, hips vertically stacked, looking directly forwards. Now, if you would like that challenge, raise and lower through that top leg. Breathing out to lift and breathing in to lower. Neck in line with the rest of the spine, looking directly forwards. Squeeze your core, that corset around your center. Getting ready. Try to not let those buttocks touch the floor. Over onto your front for a 1 minute hover. Elbows in underneath the shoulders, looking down between your hands. Now draw those abdominals in and tuck under with the tailbone. Pinching the buttocks will give you more stability. Keep tucking under with that tailbone, squeezing your core. Deep, slow breaths. So check your position. Those buttocks should be at the level of your shoulders. And check, make sure that you are tucking under with the tailbone. On your breath out, squeezing the core, as well as engaging through the pelvic floor. Getting ready to roll over onto your other side. So shoulders vertically stacked, hips vertically stacked. You can raise and lower that top leg for more of a challenge. Keep pressing those hips up high, squeezing your core. Release it gently. Well done. So, come back. Just hug those knees into the chest. So give your back a little stretch out. Rock your knees into the chest. And give those knees a circle. Reverse your circle. Okay, the next one that we'll do is side to side. So it's a good pain relieving exercise for the back, and it's also good flexibility, getting that rotation into the lower back. So arms are out, shoulder level, feet are together, knees are together. Now, the first few we'll do with the feet on the floor. This is also your back, a good one for your lower back. So push through the hips, turn to look towards the fingers of the opposite hand. Squeeze core and inner thighs to lift. Keep your shoulders flat, try and get your knees down as low as you can. So if you have a sore back, you may want to just go to there. Gently nudge into the pain, with each one taking it a little further, but all within your limits of discomfort. Push through with the hips. Squeeze core and inner thighs to lift, pushing through with those hips. Now if you've got a sore back, continue with the feet on the floor and just nudging into that pain. Otherwise, knees in above the belly button, feet lifted higher than the knees, and keep those knees locked together. Take the legs halfway to make it easier, or as low to the floor as you can with that opposite shoulder remains flat, squeezing core and inner thighs to lift. Nice deep breaths. Keep those knees glued together, and make sure that you are using the abdominals to rock those legs back up again. You're not just swinging the legs up. You've made the effort of having the snack, you might as well do it properly. Keep those knees locked together, squeezing core and inner thighs to lift. Breathing out to lower, and a deep breath in to raise. One more to each side, keeping those knees glued together, shoulders flat. Last one. Back up to the center, relax the feet to the floor, now holding a stretch. So if you've got a sore back, keep those knees vertically stacked, get them nice and close into your armpit, and reach out with that opposite hand. Otherwise, you'll firm a stretch. That left leg straight out in line with your body, right leg up and over, foot to the floor, and gently ease that knee down within your limits of discomfort. Push through with that hip. Make sure that your B-lines, your back is supported. Just relax into the twist. Don't force the movement. Now to keep that right shoulder as flat as you can, so you do get that stretching through the hip. And squeeze the core, use the abdominals, carefully and slowly up and out of that. Across to the other side, put that right leg straight out in line with you. Left leg up and over, foot to the floor, and then gently ease that knee down. Now we often are tighter in one side, so just be mindful of that and breathe through your stretch, just relaxing into it. There's a firm stretch on that lower back. Make sure that you B-line, keep your back supported. Now use those abdominals carefully and slowly up, and just rock those knees in once again. As you do sometimes feel that lower back after that, so just ease it out. Okay, we'll do heel taps. So with heel taps, I was talking about the position of the pelvis before, so now you want to have your lower back imprinted. So you will maintain a tuck with that pelvis. So knees are in line with your belly button, calves are parallel to the floor. Keep the same bend in the knee, you're going to hinge from your hip joint. Palms are facing up, so if you do have that sore neck, it's a good idea to pop a towel or a little cushion in underneath the head. Keep the same bend in the knee, hinge from your hip, lightly tap your heel on the floor and lift. Make sure your lower back is imprinted and you're pulling those abdominals in. Now incorporate the breathing. Breathe out to lower and a deep breath in to lift. Keep that one leg exactly where it is. Don't let that one start to sag down as well. So keep the back imprinted. If you want to challenge, squeeze your inner thighs and lower both heels to that point where your back does not arch off the floor and you're still able to keep those abdominals pulled in. Relax your shoulders, chin tucked in, so be aware of the rest of the body. Use your breathe in, breathe out, so you flatten through the ribcage, flatten those abdominals, and a deep breath in as you raise. Taking as long to lower as you do to raise. So it's not this. Yes, Anne, I can see you, even though everybody's got a front row seat today, nobody in the back row. Breathing out to lower, deep breath in to raise, one more with each leg. Make sure that you are pulling in and not allowing those abdominals to dome out, and hug those knees in close. Just squeeze the knees in. So a rocking movement, rocking backwards and forwards. And we'll sit up for rollbacks. What has happened to my mat? Oh, let's sort it out. So rollbacks. Now you can hold on to hand weights to make it easier. Yes, you heard me, makes it easier. Or you can use your band if you do have a band. But once again, work within your limits of discomfort. What we really after here is that tucking of the pelvis. So don't try and roll back with a straight back, you need to curve into it. So if you are using the band, that band is right around the 4 feet, and keep the same angle at the knees. Just roll halfway back and tuck under with the tailbone and squeeze ribs to hips. Just bring yourself up there, don't come up to there each time. And otherwise holding hand weights, keep that same angle, no straightening of the legs. Breathe out to roll back, tucking with the pelvis, lifting through the tailbone, squeeze your knees, squeeze ribs to hips. Just halfway down, keep that same angle, no straightening. Tuck with the pelvis, squeeze your inner thighs and squeeze ribs to hips. Don't be in a hurry. Yes, Meryl, slow down. Halfway down, tuck with the pelvis and squeeze ribs to hips. Now take yourself down as low as you can. You can still bring yourself back up again. Keep those shoulders relaxed. Now use your breathing. Breathing out to roll back, a deep breath in. And a last breath out to help you up again. Curve into your back, roll it down. Squeezing ribs to hips to come up. Tucking, tucking, tucking with the pelvis and peeling the spine up off the floor. Curve into the back. Keep checking that position of the knees. Make sure that you're not straightening the legs. Isolation to the abdominals. If you find you straightening, go back to just doing halfway and getting that tuck with the pelvis. Breathing out to roll back, deep breath in. Last breath out. Come on, Ira, stop slacking off. You thought I couldn't see you, hey? Tucking, tucking, tucking. And a last breath out to help you. Have you had an elegant sufficiency of this one yet? No. You've got a little bit more in you. Tucking, tucking, tucking. Last breath out. One more, roll down and stay down. Now comes the nice part, you get to stretch out. Take the arms up and overhead, your palms are facing up. Press the back of the arms into the floor, tuck your chin in to press the back of the neck to the floor, shoulder blades to the floor. Lovely tilt to press that lower back down and pressing the back of the legs to the floor. Straighten your elbows and straighten your knees. Try to get as flat as possible. And easing out of that. Yes, it's just as hot in here today as it was the other day. And don't forget to snack on a bit of water as well. All right, one more abdominal one. What should that be? Let's do the crisscross. Work those oblique abdominals a little bit more. So if it is too much for you, you can go back to one of those easier ones. You can do side to side, or you could do heel taps. Otherwise, be brave and join me for crisscross. Interlink your fingers, keep those elbows out wide. Now if your back is sore, extend that leg at a 45-degree angle, foot flexed and turned up, leg low to the floor for a change. Tap elbow to opposite knee, yes, get it touching the knee. Keep your shoulder blades off the floor to the center, across to the other side. Make sure that you're drawing that leg across the body and make sure that your fingers are interlinked. Look across towards your husband that's next to you and make sure that you squeeze your core. You should keep equal pressure through onto the buttocks and keep breathing. No panting, breathing. Last breath out. Draw that leg across the body. Flex your foot, push out through your heel. Squeeze the core. Breathing out to rotate, deep breath in to the center. One more to each side. And hug those knees in close. Well done. I think if I listen carefully, I can hear a few groans. All right, we'll sit up. And inner thigh stretch, taking the legs out wide. Make sure the feet are flexed and big toes are up towards the ceiling. And then you should do this one this way so that you can see what I'm doing. You want to tip forwards from the pelvis. Now, if you are very tight, now is a good time to sit on a cushion or on a towel, because you're wanting to get that tipping forwards. So what we're not wanting is that, okay? So if you do need to raise yourself up to get that tipping forwards, it's as if you're pressing the tailbone towards the back wall. So just breathe through it once again, relax into your stretch and don't force it. Have a nice straight back as you hinge forwards. So don't curl over like that. Nice deep breath, straighten the legs, press those legs into the floor, flex the feet back. Now walk your torso around to the left-hand side, cross your hands over. You can, if you hold the leg where you comfortably can, you can reach the foot, hold the foot, and make sure your arms are crossed over, gently pulling chest to thigh. Lengthen through the crown of the head towards your toes. Relax into that stretch. Relax your shoulders. Now walk your torso towards the right-hand side. Remember to cross those hands over and gently pulling chest to thigh. Straighten the knees. Just hold the leg where you comfortably can. Squeeze the core and slowly uncurl to the upright. And now we'll sit cross-legged for a twist. So hand on the knee and twist your shoulders square on to the side wall. Once again, sitting up nice and straight and now hunching with those shoulders. Breathe through your stretch. Relax a little further into that twist on the breath out. And across to the other side. Use the hand on the knee to help pull yourself around. No pulling with your neck. Sitting up nice and straight. So this one's more for between your shoulder blades into the upper back. So this one's for you, Anne, if you spend too much time ironing. And easing out of that. Time for some back strengthening. So we'll be on all fours for this next one. But if you do have sore wrists or a problem with your shoulders, you can lie over on your stomach. So if you are wanting to lie over on the stomach, you can alternate one arm, one leg, or just the legs if you would like to. Otherwise, on all fours, make sure that your fingers are spread wide. The wrist is above, the shoulder is above the wrist, the knee is underneath the hip, and your elbows are soft. Now keep your back nice and straight. Slide one arm, one leg, hand in line with your shoulder, heel in line with your hip. Your foot should be facing down, so check it. Squeeze the buttocks. And then change sides. Your pelvis should be square down towards the floor. Push out through your heel, soft elbow on that supporting arm. Now, if you are finding that one too easy and would like a little bit more of a challenge, you can go up into your plank position. Now, this is not what I'm after. It's not downward dog, and you're not up there either. Nice straight line with the body, and you can alternate with the legs. It's just a small lift. If you're lifting up high, it's probably because you're in the wrong position. So lift, squeeze buttocks and down. Breathe out to lift, breathe in to lower. So those are your two options. You're either there or otherwise you are here. Pelvis is square. So lift, push out through your heel. Squeeze the core, squeeze the buttocks, and change sides. So being aware of keeping your pelvis square and stable, not swaying into that lower back. and shoulders stay away from your ears. Push out through your heel. Make sure you're squeezing the buttocks, squeezing the core. So lift, pushing through the heel, reach through the toe and through the heel, and changing sides. Remember to squeeze your core, that corset around your center. Don't let the head drop, and the shell, keep those shoulders away from the ears. Push out through your heel. One more to each side. Maureen, is that about 10 each side of, or 10 or 12 each side of the more challenging one? Thanks for counting. Give those wrists a little shake. Okay, a bit more back strengthening. We'll be over onto our stomachs. And so I'll give you an easier and a more challenging variation. So your easier variation, your forehead resting on the hands, you can lift both thighs just up off the floor. Now once again, you can pop that rolled up, that folded towel in underneath your stomach. So it's in underneath the stomach. So what it's doing is keeping you in a pelvic tilt so that you don't sway into your back too much. Okay. So your easier one is lifting just the legs, more of a challenge, lifting arms and legs. You can also just lift one leg at a time if that's too much lifting both. So palms are facing inwards, squeeze your core, draw those abdominals in, lift arms and legs equally off the floor and release. Breathing in to lift, breathing out to lower. Make sure that you are squeezing your core, drawing those abdominals in away from the floor. Never brace the abdominals by pushing into the floor. Always brace by pulling those abdominals in away from the floor. So support your spine. Squeeze the buttocks, squeeze your core. If you want to challenge, try to lift that little extra centimetre higher. Yes, Denise, get those legs a little higher. Breathing in to lift, breathing out to lower. Try to straighten your elbows as much as possible. Straighten your knees. One more. Release it gently. Now, taking your hands out directly in line with your shoulders. Keep your feet on the floor. Lift the arms higher than the torso and gently pinch your shoulder blades. Now, if that's too much for you, diamond press, diamond shape with the fingers, root onto your forehead, and lift arms and chest. Keep looking down towards the floor. Breathe in to lift, breathing out to lower. So you're concentrating on your lower back, not pulling upwards with your neck. Keep those shoulders away from your ears, and remember to gently pinch between your shoulder blades as you lift those arms straight up towards the ceiling. Release it gently. And back extensions, some flexibility into your lower back. So hands are next to your shoulders. Push up onto the forearms or onto the hands. Keep the shoulders away from the ears. Just let the head come along for the ride. A deep breath in to push yourself up. Breathing out to release. Now, if your back is sore and you're finding it a bit much going up so high, you can put the hands forward and just do a little bit of a smaller lift so that you're not getting quite as much arching into that back. Just gently nudge into that pain. So work within your limits of that lower back and gradually nudge yourself higher. Deep breath in to lift, breathing out to lower. So you want to get those triceps working as well. So make sure that you keep your elbows tucked in as you come down. Shoulders stay away from the ears. And remembering to squeeze your core. Breathe in to lift. And breathing out to lower. Shoulders away from the ears. And you know what's coming. Push up, bend your elbows and stop. Just before the floor. Not on the floor, just before the floor. Tuck those elbows in close. Draw the tummy away from the floor. No hunching with your shoulders. Say hello to those triceps. Keep tucking those elbows in. Keep holding, holding, holding. Don't go down yet. Release it gently and into rest position. And no, that's not rest position. This is rest position. So just stretch out through your back. Make sure that your knees are wide, feet are together, and sink your chest down low. Flatten your spine. Nice deep breaths. Sink your chest low to the floor. Reach out through your fingertips. Get that stretching through your shoulders as well. Keeping the buttocks on the heels, walk the torso around to the left-hand side, reaching out with that right hand, and breathe into the armpits. And across to the right-hand side, reaching out with your left hand. And easing out of that. We allow our backs for shoulder bridge. So shoulder bridge is one of the best ones for a sore lower back and to help prevent getting a sore back. So we'll just work on the pelvic tilt first. It's important that you isolate using tummy and pelvic floor for your pelvic tilt. It's only once we lift the buttocks up that we start using the buttocks. So don't use the buttocks for a pelvic tilt. So be aware of your tripod foot position. Your feet should be straight. They should be about a fist width apart. Palms are facing up, so that you're nice and open through the chest. Your chin is tucked in. So just a few pelvic tilts. Draw the tummy and pelvic floor in and flatten your lower back onto the floor. Hold it there. Make sure that your lower back is pressed flat. And then just release back to neutral. So just tipping from the pelvis. Draw the tummy and pelvic floor in. Press your lower back flat to the floor. Make sure that you're not engaging through the buttocks. And release back to neutral. Now pelvic tilt. Now you're going to lift up. As you lift up, then you squeeze the buttocks tight. Peel the spine off the floor. Maintain a tuck with the pelvis. Don't go into an arch in your back. Squeeze the buttocks tight. Push your hips up high. Squeeze in from your inner thighs, knees stay over the ankles. Tuck with the pelvis, roll it down one vertebra at a time. And the very last thing you do is release through your pelvic tilt. So pelvic tilt, imprint your lower back, squeeze the buttocks, peel your spine off the floor. Now shoulders are flat, chin is tucked in. Squeeze the buttocks, lengthen through the crown of the head, lengthen through the knees. Now you can, for a challenge, keep your knees level. Straighten one leg, don't lift that leg high, keep those knees level, keep that pelvis lifted high, take it down, one each side, keep those hips lifted, and then tuck with the pelvis, get as much movement through the vertebra as possible. Last thing you do is release the pelvic tilt. So pelvic tilt, imprinting your lower back, squeeze the buttocks, peel the spine off the floor, be careful to maintain that pelvic tilt. Now you can either hold that there while you squeeze those buttocks tight, or alternate with the legs. Keep the pelvis square up to the ceiling. Make sure that you're not dipping down as you lift one leg. Keep those hips lifted high. And tucking with the pelvis. Get as much movement through the vertebra as you can. Now if your back is sore, just nudge into that pain. So you may not lift up quite so high. You just nudge gently into that pain. And sometimes when the back is really sore, even just really concentrating on that pelvic tilt to loosen through the spine. So you'll gradually nudge yourself up high. So you do nudge into the beginnings of pain. Often people think it's not a good exercise if it's painful. If this is good pain, just nudging into it, you will notice that you free up, and before you know it, you can go all the way up. But work within your limits. May take a few days to loosen up. So peeling the spine off the floor and rolling the spine down. So lots of things to concentrate on this exercise. You're concentrating on using the correct muscles, so tummy and pelvic floor for your tilt. Then really squeezing the buttocks as you lift, and you also want to squeeze in from your inner thighs. Wanting to get movement through the vertebrae, so you're peeling off and rolling down. Now one more. Peel your spine off the floor, nice straight line, and we're going to pulse it. So that's so that you really feel those buttocks now. Lower the buttocks down by 5 centimeters and a blast breath out to push your hips back up towards the ceiling. Make sure that you are squeezing in from those inner thighs and that your chin is tucked in so your neck is nice and long. Still maintaining that pelvic tilt so that you're not going into a sway in the lower back. So those abdominals still have to work. A blast breath out as you pulse those hips up. Blast breath out and roll your spine down. Last thing you do is release the tilt and squeeze those knees into the chest. So hug those thighs in close. And give the knees a circle. Reverse your circle. And sitting in. We'll do some leg work now. We'll work through buttock and outer thigh. So the buttock is the lazy muscle in this exercise. You really need to concentrate on squeezing the buttocks. So the first one we'll do with a hold, and thereafter we'll do a flowing movement. But have your concentration on those buttocks. So lying over onto your side, make sure your whole upper body's in a nice straight line. Bend your bottom knee forwards. Make sure that you're tucking with the pelvis and that top leg is slightly forwards. Hips should be vertically stacked. Support yourself with the hand in the front. Raise that leg out to about a 45-degree angle. Push out through your heel and squeeze the buttocks. You can pop the fingers onto the buttocks to make sure that you are squeezing. Get that mind-body connection going. Otherwise, squeeze the buttocks tight and then down. Remember to squeeze your core. So raise that leg up, push out through your heel and squeeze the buttocks tight. Of course, if you have got ankle weights, you can pop them on now. You should have put them on before, I should have said. Squeeze the buttocks. Hold, hold, hold. One more with a hold. So lift that leg up. Squeeze the buttocks tight and then down. Now a flowing movement. Breathing out to lift and breathing in to lower. So take as long to raise your leg as you do to lower. Still remembering to squeeze your core and maintain that tuck with the pelvis so you don't go into a sway in your lower back. So be mindful of how that lower back is feeling throughout. Keep your hips vertically stacked. You start rolling backwards, you're working through the front of the thigh and not through that buttock and outer thigh. So keep yourself honest, check your positioning. Breathing out to lift and breathing in to lower. Squeeze the buttocks to lift, control the movement on the way down. Keep pushing out through that heel. You've got one more, lift it and hold it. Push out through that heel. Squeeze the buttocks tight, squeeze your core. And relax. Other side. Make sure that your whole upper body's in a nice straight line. Bend that bottom knee forwards. Top leg is slightly forwards. Up to a 45-degree angle. Push out through your heel. Hold, hold, hold. And then down. So lift. Make sure you're tucking with the pelvis, squeezing the buttocks. And down. Keep vertically stacked. Holding, 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 and down. So lift, push out through that heel, and down. One more with the hold. Really engaging through those buttocks. Squeeze the buttocks, and down. Now your flowing movement. Take as long to raise as you do to lower. Breathing out to lift and in to lower. Push out through your heel as if you're being pulled by that leg. Remember to squeeze your core, that corset, around your center. Keep your shoulder blades in pocket, looking forwards, neck in line with the rest of the spine. So no need to look where that leg is. Once you've checked your position, make sure you're looking forwards. With one more to go, lift it and hold it. Don't worry if your leg's shaking, just shows you work. Squeeze those buttocks, holding, 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 and relax. Now you can do your normal buttock stretch, which is like that. But if you'd like something different, you can sit up. Kim, this one's for you. I know you like this one. And after all, you did give me my socks. Okay, so one leg is slightly in front of the other. So now I've got the left leg bent back and I'm stretching that left buttock. Now lean forwards, trying to get that left knee as low to the floor as possible. Keep equal pressure throughout the buttocks and lean forwards with a straight back until you feel that stretch into that left buttock. Trying to get that knee down. If this one's not for you, just go back to that other buttock stretch. Breathe through the stretch. Consciously relax those stretch muscles and change sides. So, swap those legs over. So now I'm trying to get that right knee down. So I won't worry too much about that one, but it will go down as I lean forwards as well. Trying to get that knee down and equal pressure, leaning forwards. And easing out of that. And we'll do a few arm exercises. And so if you've got a band, now's the time to use your band. Could you push it back for me, please, Diane, so I'm in a standing position. Just turn the screen away. Thank you, that's great. All right. Okay. So you can step onto the band. I'll just show you sideways. We want to work into the upper back and the triceps. Pinch your shoulder blades as you stretch that band back behind you. Just being careful to keep your wrists locked nice and straight. Don't get them pulling round at a funny angle. Get back from those shoulders. So pinch your shoulder blades and being aware of your wrists, keep them nice and straight. So reach those arms back behind you. Gentle pinch between the shoulder blades. Keep your chin tucked in so you're not jutting out with the chin. Breathe out to stretch, breathe in to release. So stretching back behind you, upper back, and your triceps. And now, hold more the edges of the band. And just work within your limits as to how high you reach. Once again, lock your wrists straight, so don't allow the wrist to do that. Breathe out to stretch, breathe in to release. Take as long to raise as you do to lower. Breathing out to stretch, breathe in to release. Make sure that shoulder blades are in pocket. Be aware of your tripod foot position. Squeeze your core. Keep your palms facing down. Breathe out to stretch, breathe in to release. And release. Okay. Working the upper back once more. So palms are facing down. Pinch your shoulder blades as you stretch your band. Keep tension in the band as you bring it back in. Breathe out to stretch, breathe in to release. A gentle pinch between your shoulder blades. So work into that upper back, squeeze your shoulder blades to stretch your band. Remember to squeeze your core and release. Rotate a cuff, last arm exercise. Keep your elbows tucked in. And you were thinking it was a snack. It's a bit more of a main course today. A little bit longer than the first chest one. Keep those elbows glued into the torso and rotate out equally with your forearms. If your shoulder is sore, you may need to do a smaller range of movement. So just work within the limits. Last one, and release. All right, standing spine roll. Hopefully you've loosened up. And now I've warmed up. Breathe in, grow taller. Breathing out, chin to chest, roll it down. Notice how far you're reaching. Just hold it here for a few deep breaths. Let your head dangle, let your arms dangle. Now be down, engage your tummy and pelvic floor, draw shoulder blades into carpet. Use those abdominals to support your spine as you uncurl all the way. Just one more thing on the menu for today. I hope you all got the memo about these. Yeah, juggling balls. So I thought as a grand finale, we'd stand on one leg and do some juggling. Right? Okay, you ready? Now, happy April Fool's Day, everyone, and hope you enjoyed the class. So have a great day. Bye for now.